Silent cinema sucks. Okay, well, it doesn't suck, but I don't think it's everything it's hyped up to be. Not anymore, at least. After studying film and TV for years, the main thing that's preached to you all the time is show, don't tell, meaning you should tell your story with visuals, not with words. Which is fair enough. I mean, writing dialogue is hard to master and often ends up just being convenient writing. Hey, you remember how Dad died in a car crash in 1989, but we never got to examine the body? It's lazy, it's bad. Silent cinema teaches you to tell your story visually, conveying meaning through characters, sets, and props. While silent works are definitely impressive, no hate to Hitchcock's work, I've come to realise good, engaging dialogue is definitely better, and much harder to pull off. So let's look at 3 examples of TV episodes in which 1 or 2 characters just talk. That's the content. They just talk for the entire episode. And these are some of the highest rated episodes, not only of these shows, but of any episode of a show ever. These episodes are often known as bottle episodes, where the producers are trying to save on their budget by limiting locations and characters. Breaking Bad's Fly is probably the most famously controversial example of this, with Walt and Jesse being the only characters in the episode, and they are almost exclusively limited to their meth lab for the entire episode. However, this isn't exactly the type of episode I'll be talking about today, because the actors still have a lot more to work with than just their words in this episode. I'll mainly be focusing on animated shows, which I'm not sure do these bottle episodes to save on budget, because they aren't as limited by locations production-wise. They're able to just draw any location into existence, although they still could be trying to save on actors. Going chronologically, ReZero is my first example. Episode 18, From Zero, fills 21 minutes of its 26-minute runtime, with 2 characters having a conversation in one location. And it's phenomenal. With no signs of rushing, the episode sees Rem, clearly in love with Subaru for a while now, speak him out of his self-hatred, with him believing he is worthless and ready to give up. After nearly 20 minutes of Rem pouring her heart out to him for his benefit, not hers, she's doing this for him, Subaru tells her, Rem, I love Emilia. To which she smiles and replies, yes. Subaru then goes on to talk about Emilia in the same way Rem just spoke about him, in one of the biggest gut punches I have ever seen. All the homies hated Subaru after this episode, but this is probably the most crucial episode to his character development in the whole show so far. And the fact that the writer pulled it back and has now made everyone come to love Subaru as a main character after his unforgivable behaviour in this episode is equally as impressive. And this episode also single-handedly made Rem the most beloved character in ReZero, probably to this day, and one of the most selflessly kind characters in fiction. Wait, who was I talking about? That is a lot for one episode to achieve, and proves the power of writing good dialogue. To be able to sit through a 20-minute conversation and not only not be bored, but feel visceral emotions, proves that Tappe is an incredible writer. Seriously, this man has just been writing consistent fire on his own for 13 years, and he's not showing any signs of stopping anytime soon. God, I hope this show doesn't outlive me. That's if it even gets renewed for a season 5. Our next all-dialogue episode is the most famous one, Free Churro. Now, BoJack Horseman actually provides this video with a direct example of the point I'm trying to make. The Season 3 episode, Fish Out of Water, is a silent episode, and it's great. It masters the art of telling a story visually, and it's rated 9.6 on IMDb. However, Free Churro, written by the exact same guy, masters the art of telling a story through dialogue, and this episode is objectively better, proving my point. This one has a 9.8 on IMDb. Now, I'm not trying to say Free Churro is a better piece of art than Fish Out of Water, because I'm not sure it is. I'm saying that the writing of Free Churro is much more masterful and way more impressive. The whole episode is BoJack standing at a lectern beside his mother's dead body, talking. This one isn't even a conversation, it's just one character talking, not even 2. The writer gives the story nothing to work with other than the dialogue and a coffin. Raphael Bob Vaxberg masterfully writes the dialogue in this episode to be as though it were a real person who had just lost a mother they had a complicated relationship with, making it very emotional for some people, especially if they can relate, but even to those of us who can't. An overarching theme in the episode is BoJack talking about his mum saying, I see you, before she died, coming to realise across the span of the whole episode that she was just reading a sign, I see you, disproving his speculations that she had finally seen him for who he is. It's incredibly sad to see BoJack's hope that his mum finally saw him, in real time as well, only for it to be this disappointing truth.
But I keep going back to that moment in the ICU when she looked at me and I see you. I see you. Jesus Christ. We were in the intensive care unit. She was just reading a sign. My mom died and all I got was this free churro.
All in all, this episode is scarily accurate to that of a person who has actually just lost their mother. The guy who wrote this show is insane. He must... I want to know this guy's backstory. The next episode I want to talk about isn't really a whole episode of dialogue, but it was so revolutionary that I want to talk about it anyway. Attack on Titan Season 4 Episode 5 Declaration of War fills 7 minutes and 49 seconds of its runtime with 3 characters talking in a basement. Yes, I counted. This is one of those episodes that broke the internet, with Eren, who had infiltrated this season's storyline, confronting Reiner for the first time in years.
4年ぶりだな、ライナー。
The episode sees Eren realize Reiner's people aren't all evil like he thought, they're just people.
ライナー、お前と同じだよ。もちろんムカつくやつもいるし、いいやつもいる。海の外も壁の中も同じなんだ。だがお前たちは壁の中にいる奴らは悪魔だと教えられた。
With him also realizing that this must be what Reiner experienced when he lived in Eren's country, after being taught that all of Paradise Island was evil.
入隊式の最中、突然芋を食い出した奴がいた。奴らに譲り合う精神などないからな。本当にどうしようもない奴らだった。
Seeing our main character come into this storyline as the villain and a completely different person, after getting to know these new characters, completely switched up the perspective of the show, forever. We spent the start of this season with a completely new set of characters, and we saw Eren come and infiltrate the exact same way Reiner, Annie, and Bertolt came and infiltrated Paradise Island at the start of the show. Finally, a more recent example I want to talk about is the limited series Adolescence on Netflix. Each episode is one singular shot, with episode 3 almost exclusively consistent of a conversation between a 13-year-old boy and a psychologist, for its whole 45-minute run. In classic gritty British style, this episode does a fantastic job at representing the current state of the world and the problematic way 13-year-old boys often act today, especially towards women. I am so grateful that this episode and this show was made. I think it does so well at showing the big issues in today's society and why we should be course correcting. And it's scary. This boy got called an incel by a girl because he was, and he killed her. After 7 months being held in some kind of mental hospital, he was still vile to a grown woman, causing her to cry at the end of the episode. Like, this boy just seemed like a sweet, normal little boy at first, but he really was not. Now, to reiterate, silent cinema is still impressive, and I think it's the better way to express yourself artistically. Being forced to use things like lighting and props to convey meaning makes for a more artistic, expressionist piece of work. Recently, Invincible included a silent cinema montage about the life of 2 criminals in a relationship who want to become law-abiding citizens, and it was beautiful. I never want writers to stop incorporating silent montages in their works. Some of my favourite Rick and Morty scenes are silent montages. One of these even brought on a Live Forever remake, which I actually prefer to the original. Speaking of Rick and Morty, it's worth noting that its highest rated episode, Tales from the Citadel, is an episode that consists of just one voice actor. While it does have several locations and technically more than 2 characters, these are all different versions of the same 2 characters who are both voiced by the same one guy. While this isn't as restricting as my other examples, it has to be said that this is impressive and is the highest rated episode for a reason. So, all you writers out there, keep putting silent pieces in your works. It's a great way to tell your stories and it really shows a deep artistic connection to your work. But maybe mix a bit more clever dialogue into your work. The audience will absolutely love it. To be able to maintain a viewer's attention purely with dialogue is to be an expert storyteller. And with that revolutionary quote, that is the end of this video. I hope I sparked your appreciation for good dialogue writing. It's quite rare, especially in live action. So, go watch some animation.